Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Talk Travel podcast. Today, I'm delighted to be joined by Fiona Lunardelli, product manager at Wendy Wu Tours, where she oversees tours across the Indian subcontinent, Central Asia, Africa, and also Latin America as well. In this particular episode, we'll be diving into Wendy Wu's fantastic South Africa tours with a spotlight on two incredible journeys, in particular, Christmas in South Africa and Wendy Wu's iconic Kruger to the Cape explored itinerary as well. With South Africa being such a diverse and exciting destination, from your perspective, what makes it stand out as a place to explore with Wendy Wu Tours?
Adam, South Africa's got so much to offer. So it's known as the Rainbow Nation and has 11 official languages. It starts with safaris in the Kruger National Park to lush landscapes of the garden route, mountains and vineyards in the Cape winelands, a coastal line of dramatic cliffs and golden beaches, keeping in mind that we have the Atlantic on the one side and also the Indian Ocean on the other. So it offers more than just the big five. There's penguins, seals, whale watching opportunities, and an over and abundance of other marine life on offer. It's not just about that, though. It also offers really, really delicious local foods. I'm sure some of you have heard it, from biltong to boerewors to bunny chow. And of course, last but not least, the wines. It is pretty famous for the winelands down in Cape Town. And then some of the iconic landmarks such as Table Mountain, the Cape of Good Hope, Blader River Canyon, to mention but a few. All of these are included in our Wendy Wu Kruger to Cape Explore tour, which is carefully created to offer a comfortable, stress-free travel experience guided by experts who are passionate about their country.
Fantastic. And you did just touch on the Kruger Big Five and also the abundance of wildlife and marine life that South Africa has on offer. Can you just briefly explain what the Kruger Big Five are for anyone unaware, and why Kruger National Park is one of the best places in the world to spot them?
Sure. So the Big Five incorporates elephant, rhino, buffalo, lion, and the leopard. And why the Kruger? Well, the Kruger's is a vast protected game reserve spanning thousands of kilometers and is obviously home to a variety of wildlife. It's unfenced, which means that animals can roam freely across the open plains. What's more significant is it's not just the Kruger. There's also an area called the Greater Kruger. So this is the Kruger National Park incorporated with a network of private game reserves and concessions that make up a larger area. It's easily accessible for everyone, offering spectacular game viewing, and many of which happen right in front of you along the roadside. The other important factor is that the Kruger National Park is a year-round destination.
In terms of conservation and sustainable travel, what considerations and approaches does Wendy Wu maintain throughout their tours to South Africa?
So I think here the most important aspect for us specifically around the safaris is that we have chosen a concession. So with a concession, it limits the tourism impact, it strongly supports conservation, and obviously benefits local communities by offering them empowerment and ensuring that tourism leaves a positive and lasting impact. Sustainability, our guests are given metal water bottles as gifts on arrival, and this ensures that they use it throughout the tour and obviously get refill opportunities along the way as we travel through the country.
Of course. And now turning to your main itinerary in South Africa, which is Kruger to the Cape Explored. Can you give us just a brief overview of the tour to start with?
Sure. So Kruger to Cape Explored is 15 days, and it's a level 1, which means it's suitable for most people. It starts off in Johannesburg, which is the gateway to the Kruger National Park, and also a significant city where giving insight to the history of South Africa. It then moves on to an area called the Panorama Route. This is one of the most scenic routes and is famous for the breathtaking natural landscapes and showcasing local crafts and markets. We then move on to the Greater National Greater Kruger, as it's called, where this is all about the safari experience. We spent 3 nights here, and we have 5 safari opportunities for our guests. We then travel back to Johannesburg International, OR Tambo, and we fly to an area called Kruger, which was previously known as Port Elizabeth. This is the start of the garden route, and it offers our customers beautiful, beautiful beaches. We're here for 1 night. We move on down south towards Knysna. So we move on along south to Knysna. And en route, we visit the Oderbos Protea Farm, which is South Africa's national flower. We also stop in at the Tsitsikamma Forest for a nature walk. And we cross over the suspension bridge at Storms River. We're arriving in Knysna, which is set amongst 2 beautiful Knysna heads. And then we continue from Knysna to a city called Oudtshoorn for a night. And we move further on to Cape Town to end our tour.
When it comes to the Kruger Big 5, how does this tour maximise chances of seeing these 5 animals?
So that's quite an important question. And again, it's going to come back to something I mentioned earlier about the concession. So our actual safari takes place in the Greater Kruger National Park, and the lodge we use is part of a concession. What a concession means is that it's a part of a few lodges that have a secured area that is for their exclusive use. What this means to our travelers is that there's fewer tourists around, fewer vehicles, which then enhances the sighting opportunities. It's a lot more flexible, so we can go out on a game drive for longer. We are allowed off the road. We can go off-road if we are following a predator, for example. And yeah, when you come to a sighting, there's only 6 or 7 vehicles at the sighting, opposed to 200 if you were anywhere else. So really, first of all, the fact that we're in a private reserve is the first opportunity. And then obviously the safaris we offer. So we offer 2 safaris a day, morning and evening. These are the best opportunities to see the animals in the mornings because they're waking up and they're starting to move. And then in the evenings where they're actually coming to the water holes and the predators are getting ready to start their hunting at night. So during the day, between the safaris, the guests will relax at the lodges, but we give them 2 safaris a day, lasting 3 to 4 hours. The other opportunity is, again, that our guests are taken in jeeps, so 9 passengers per vehicle. There are open-air jeeps, weather permitting, and each jeep has its own expert guide, or ranger as they're known, as well as a tracker. So a tracker will hop down off the jeep many occasions and actually look for footprints and give us the opportunity to follow the footprints to actually have better sightings. They also radio between each other. So if we're anywhere near a sighting, the vehicles can get there to actually experience it. So they're in constant communication and communicating where and how the animals are moving. So yeah, we've got really expert guides. We've got small jeeps, only 9 people per jeep, and limited to how many people are actually within the park.
Of course, and obviously with it being a safari element within the tour, there's a massive emphasis on trying to see the Kruger Big 5, but a large section of the tour is spent in Cape Town, in the Cape Town Peninsula. Can you tell me a little bit more about that section in particular of the tour, as well as exploring the garden route as well?
Sure. So as I mentioned in the brief overview, once we finish with the Kruger Park, we fly to the coast, which is then the Indian Ocean side of it, and we start off in a city called Kruger. We're there for 1 night just to get our bearings, and then we travel south down the garden route. So the garden route is obviously very well known. It's got beautiful beaches. It's got dramatic cliffs. We offer the walk in Tsitsikamma National Forest. And then we head down into Knysna. As I said, it's got the Knysna heads. In Knysna is probably one of the best experiences of this tour, is also where our guests get to visit the Featherbed Eco Estate. So here they'll take a little boat across to one of the heads. This head is totally uninhabited. It is a natural reserve. They'll take a tractor to the top of it with absolutely panoramic views around them, and they get to actually walk through the forest with a knowledgeable guide, learning about the flora and the fauna. They'll have the most amazing lunch, picnic lunch, within the grounds, and then they'll end up back in Knysna on the waterfront for an afternoon at leisure. Knysna is a really, really beautiful town, and then from there they'll head out to Oudtshoorn. So Oudtshoorn's a little bit more inland, but obviously it's really, really famous for the ostrich farms. Here, I guess we'll sit down to lunch after obviously getting to meet the residents, and they'll get to experience some ostrich cuisine if they want. Yeah, and take a tractor ride around the ostrich farm. And then we end up in Cape Town, which is obviously the most popular side. It was voted the best city this year. So Cape Town offers you an absolutely immersive cultural experience. We do Table Mountain, we do the winelands, we do a cruise around the bay for dolphins. Yeah, and then we do more immersive with a Cape Malay cooking demonstration, which is in the Burgkaap. They will experience the Gold Restaurant. So this is an authentic African experience, offering many, many courses of food, a wide choice of meat, obviously, and local dishes like bobotie, etc. That's obviously famous within South Africa. And along with that is obviously the wine tastings.
Yeah, of course. And this is classified as a go beyond tour within Wendy Wu's level of tours. And you've touched on obviously the fantastic experience the experiences that are included within this tour. Are there perhaps any experiences here that travellers might not expect?
Well, we've touched on most of the important ones and the most famous ones. There's always an unexpected element to any tour. You could be passing by where our guide, it's normally led by the guides, they'll give them the opportunity to be more immersive with the locals, to meet them, to watch some of the street dances or the mimes. There's quite a bit of mimes going on at the Cape Town waterfront. Yeah, there's any kind of experience that they meet along the way. So again, if they're traveling down the coast, they'll stop at unexpected little secluded beach spots for views, perhaps to taste something. They could stop at a local little market, which is, well, not they could stop, they will be stopping at a little local markets. Here they'll get to taste like corn on the cob, biltong. They might see a braai, which is South Africa's way of saying a barbecue. Yeah, so they'll have these unexpected little gems along the way as they go.
Could you share what's taken care of for guests on this tour, from flights and guides to accommodation?
Sure. So it is, as you've said, it starts with the flights. So it's into Johannesburg, and the flight departs from Cape Town at the end of the tour. It includes transfers and all local transportation within the tour. Importantly, it's most meals. So there are 3 dinners excluded from this tour, and for a specific reason, and that's in Cape Town. So our guests are hosted really centrally within the waterfront, so it's easy to access and a safe environment in Cape Town where they can walk around freely. And at the waterfront, it really is an absolute amazing experience with millions of restaurants to choose from. So we've excluded dinners for 3 nights because we want the guests to get out there and explore the local cuisine at their choice. There'll be a standard at the proportions of the food they're going to get, the portions, should I say, as well as the variety. Yes, it's a meat-heavy area. It's also well known, obviously, for sea life. It is on the beach. But yeah, so besides from that, it's then fully inclusive of the meals. We have expert guide touring with our guests from the start in Johannesburg right to the end in Cape Town. It includes really immersive experiences, hands-on, meeting the locals, ticking the bucket list for the top iconic sites to be seen. And more importantly, too, it also includes the tipping. So our guests don't have to feel uncomfortable when it comes to tipping. That's already taken care of. Of course, they can add any additional tip they feel if it's warranted.
Yeah, I'm just going obviously into great detail about the comfort and the safety as well that these tours provide. Wendy would provide within this particular tour. And also the wide range of cuisines that are available to the travellers as well. In terms of solo travel, obviously there's a rising popularity in this section. Does this tour cater to solo travellers?
100%. So all our tours cater for solo travellers, but 100% this does. So one, we offer solo rooms where guests can have their own rooms, and two, we also have the option where our guests can do a happy to share. So if they're happy for us to pair them up, we most certainly will. Our guests are also never ever left to feel alone. Our guide is very aware that everybody travels together as a group, and he makes sure that everybody feels as if they're part of the family. So yes, it caters for solos in that it's no different to whether it was a dedicated departure or not. I think what's more important is also to remember that it's not just the UK market that's traveling on these tours, it's also the Australian and New Zealand. So they are all incorporated as one group traveling together, and our solos are never ever left alone. They'll always be involved, they'll always be included. People won't even know that they're traveling solo if they're not told, I guess.
And just finally, on the practicality standpoint within this tour, is there a advice for dress codes or packing guidance for this particular tour?
Yeah, I guess packing guidance is obviously comfortable shoes, especially, you know, when you're going through Tsitsikamma Forest. If you're going up Table Mountain, it is rocky up there. So yes, sensible walking shoes. When it comes to the safaris, I know everybody goes all camo and they feel they have to be wearing that. That's not really, I mean, you by all means, it's a yes if you want to, but it's not really a thing. As long as you just dressed warmly, because some times of year it can be cold in the mornings and obviously getting cooler in the evenings. So always have a coat with you, and for rain. But yeah, I guess just comfortable clothing that you can put layers onto is ideal. Remember, it does get hot though, so it is pretty much, thank heavens, a summer climate to most. So yeah, make sure you've just got a light coat for the evenings.
I think that's really useful advice. And just obviously looking to wrap up now, Wendy Wu have a new brochure launch coming out next week. With a spotlight on their Africa tours in particular. What is new in terms of the Africa tours that are coming out in that brochure for Wendy Wu next week?
So we do have two exciting new destinations that we'll be launching. They actually launched last week, but they are new to our brochure. So the first one is a tour called Treasures of Kenya and Tanzania. It's 14 days, and it takes in both countries in one nutshell. It's wildlife focused. It starts in Nairobi, goes down over the border to Amboseli, Arusha, Karatu, Serengeti, the Ngora Crater, the Masai Mara, and ends in Lake Naivasha. So it's a one-stop shop. It fills those iconic Masai Mara, Serengeti wildlife spots. And the big difference here, though, to take note of is because of the countries and the kind of touring it is, it's all done in 4x4 vehicles. So this isn't a coach tour. This is 4x4 touring. 6 people per vehicle. And what's nice about it is they all have pop-up roofs, so I guess you get to stand up when coming across a sighting. Yeah, and it basically travels from one destination to the other, so it's not like your traditional safari in South Africa that's either morning and afternoon. This is a full day experience. So when you're stopping for lunch, you're actually stopping out in the parks. You're picnicking most of the time amongst the wildlife. Yeah, so slightly different, but possibly the only way to explore these two countries of Kenya and Tanzania. The second one is another exciting tour, and it's Madagascar. Slightly longer. It's 20 days. Again, wildlife focused. It starts in Antananarivo, takes in Ansarabi, Ranamafana, Ambalavu, Ranahiro, Ifati, as well as Andasibi, and then ending again in Tana. Again, as I said, it's wildlife focused, lots of lemurs to be seen, lots and lots of cultural experiences with conservation efforts. Yeah, so that's exciting too. New destinations that will be launching in our brochure next week.
Wonderful. I think that's absolutely fantastic insight into Kruger to the Cape Explored in particular. Really just offering great detail into everything that's included in that tour. And obviously, for anyone watching, keep an eye out, of course, for Wendy Wu's new brochure and those 2 new tours that Fiona's just mentioned there. But Fiona, once again, thank you very much for joining us today and giving up your time. We really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure, Adam. Thank you for having me. And yeah, let's hope we can see some mutual business together.
Thank you very much.